How about we go over to, hey, how about we clap it up also for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
By the way,
really
another Jack take. I guess that was a year ago, but I won't count it this year.
You've been on them for a while.
But I've been on them for a bit. Yeah.
We said there were a few teams that had the opportunity. This was my prove me right team, were the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this week. I said I couldn't believe that I had them in the playoffs when I went through and laid out every single team in the NFL's game by game prediction. I had Tampa sneaking in as the 7th seed. And I didn't want to do it. It felt wrong, but that was my prediction. So I said, hey, prove me right this week. Go into Detroit, a team that everyone's high on. They just beat the Rams in Stafford in overtime, coming off the NFC Championship season. They beat you last year in that building. Go in there, and you know what? Shut them up. Go win the game. Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay, the numbers don't jump off the chart in this. Baker's 12 for 19, 185 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. It was ugly. It wasn't really pretty football, but they wound up getting a win over Detroit in their own building to go to 2-0. And this Bucs team, I think you have to seriously start taking them as a Super Bowl contender, right?
No.
Well,
you beat
the Bucs were frankly lucky to win this game. They gained 210 yards to the Lions 460. They were 2 for 10 on third down to the Lions 7 of 17. They give up 5 sacks to the Lions 0. They punted 5 times to the Lions 2. Like, they won the game fair and square. I'm not saying that. But if you have an offense that's gaining half the yards, that's converting 20% of your third downs, that's giving up a bunch of sacks, that's punting more than twice as often as your opponent, you're not going to win a whole lot of games playing.
Ye of little faith.
But this
Ziggy.
This Bucs team is good, though. Like, we're forgetting last season, right? They made the divisional round in Detroit. The score ended up being, 14? I thought it was much, much closer.
Well, it was, yeah. I mean, like Detroit scored late.
Yeah, they felt like they should have won that game and got to the NFC Championship game. So now to start 2-0, the narrative's going to be, most likely amongst most people, maybe Detroit's a bit overrated. But this Tampa Bay team's a good squad. Then they showed it last year, too.
You know who they have coming? So here's who they have coming up here. They have Denver next week at home. That's a win. They host Philly, who they murdered in that building in the playoffs, but that'll be closer. Then they go to Atlanta. They go to New Orleans. The Bucs, it's not the easiest schedule, those last 3 there, but you have your shot to really put your foot down on this NFC South against Atlanta, against New Orleans in their building. It's a great opportunity for them. And Chris Godwin is also having a little bit of a resurgence. I know he's always good, but I'm watching it. 7 receptions, 117 yards, a touchdown. They have a bunch of weapons all over the field. I like Tampa. I'm starting to feel it.
Did you know Chris Godwin's real name is Rod?
I did not.
I just found that out. Yes, he could have been Nick. He could have been gone by Rod God. Yeah, instead he chooses Chris. His name is Rod Christopher Godwin.
So Ziggy, you're saying slow down, slow your roll on.
Here's why the Buccaneers won this game. They held the Lions to 1 for 7 on red zone offense. Now that's very good, and credit to the defense for that. But you are unlikely to hold even the Lions or the best teams in the NFC to that kind of number. And the Lions dominated the Buccaneers in basically every other category. Now, look, again, before the angry Buccaneers fans are already here, but they won the game. They deserved to win this game. They really held the Lions when it counted. But you need to play better than this if you want to be. I mean, you asked, is the Super Bowl on?
If you want to be a Super Bowl contender, yes.
And that's, at this point, I think that's probably what the Buccaneers are saying. I think the bigger takeaway from this game is not from the Buccaneers side, it's from the Lions side. This is 2 games now where Jared Goff hasn't been good enough to get it done. They were fortunate to win the Rams game, but Jared Goff didn't seem good enough there. And here, Jared Goff really was a huge problem. The Lions offense does not look like it's at 100%.
What are you saying?
Are you saying the Vikings best team in the North?
Are you saying problems in Detroit?
I'm saying, ask any Lions fan. I'm sure we've got plenty of Lions fans on this show. They can comment right now. I would bet Lions fans are starting to feel nervous.
I mean, this was also, it's a tough start for Detroit. You play the 2 teams who knocked out of the playoffs last year.
Who had this game start the entire offense.
Yeah, so that's not easy.
I mean, you say they had the game circled, but it's the first and second game of the season. The Lions should be very prepared for
this. The Lions should also have that circle.
Yeah, meanwhile, Jared Goff starts out 500 yards, which is nice, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, not getting it done in the red zone. Like, it was
Right
a
after you
disastrous
hand him-
game for him.
Right after you hand him this massive contract, too. Well, first off, I want to make it clear before I go down a road that is going to piss people off. I think the Lions are fine. Aiden Hutchinson is a beast. Oh my God, is he?
He was half a sack away from the single game sack record for the Lions, and that's pretty good.
Yeah, he had 4.5 sacks. I didn't realize he had 4.5 sacks. Like, every time I looked up, he was in the backfield. But yeah, no, he has elevated his game. Right now, he's in that same conversation as Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, and those guys. Even if you're not ready to go there, I'm telling you need to get there because he's just been a monster the first 2 games. I'm not ready to hit any panic buttons on Detroit because of what you said earlier off the top of this segment, that they outplayed Tampa Bay. Like they all the statistics are in their favor. Just one of those games that got away from them. Like the games they were winning a lot of last year as well. But I'm happy about it because they're at the top of the NFC North. They are the Minnesota Vikings.
I mean, it's going back to the Bucs too. Like, it's thinking about it again. It is difficult not to maybe teeter on that line of Super Bowl contender.
Oh,
I'm
I'm
like-
a Bucs fan.
like-
I'm totally there.
Like, yeah, why not? Because you look what happened down in Dallas, right? Dallas just got blown out. They were a contender in most people's eyes. The Lions are too, and the Bucs went in there and beat them.
Maybe the Super Bowl is on in Minnesota.
maybe.
I think right. Talk about maybe it's out of Minnesota too. You never know.
There are 3 teams. There are 3 teams in the NFC right now who are 2-0. And right, correct me if I'm wrong.
It's Minnesota,
It's Minnesota,
the
Bucs, and somehow
the Saints,
the New Orleans Saints.
yeah.
Don't forget the Seahawks.
Oh, the Seahawks. I'm sorry. The Seahawks as well. And the Seahawks, I'm not ready to get there with them because they've beaten Denver and New England. Just, it doesn't feel.
Dub's a dub though. Dub's a dub.
Dub's a dub.
Dub's a dub.
Dub's a dub. But
Sure,
I'm
but
not ready
the
to-
harder games come later.
They got
Yeah.
good. They got good salmon out in Seattle.